Sex addiction, also known as hypersexuality or compulsive sexual behavior, is a complex psychological phenomenon characterized by an obsessive preoccupation with sexual thoughts, urges, or behaviors that interfere with daily functioning and well-being. While not universally recognized as a clinical diagnosis, it shares similarities with impulse control disorders and is often considered a behavioral addiction. Those with sex addiction may exhibit behaviors such as excessive pornography use, frequent casual sex encounters, compulsive masturbation, or risky sexual activities despite negative consequences. At its core, sex addiction involves dysregulation in the brain's reward system, particularly with dopamine release during sexual activities, leading to tolerance, withdrawal symptoms, and neurobiological changes in brain regions associated with reward processing and impulse control. Treatment typically involves psychotherapy, support groups, and sometimes medication to address underlying issues and manage symptoms. Prescription medication addiction, encompassing opioids and benzodiazepines, is a complex medical condition marked by compulsive drug use despite adverse effects. Opioids are primarily for pain management, while benzodiazepines treat anxiety and insomnia, acting on brain receptors like opioid receptors for opioids and GABA receptors for benzodiazepines, altering brain chemistry to induce euphoria. Internet addiction is a complex behavioral disorder that involves excessive and compulsive internet use, including activities like gaming and social media, resulting in negative impacts across various aspects of life. Similar to substance dependence, it triggers neurobiological changes in the brain's reward system, with activities such as online gaming and social media releasing dopamine, a neurotransmitter linked to pleasure and reward. This repeated exposure can lead to desensitization and a need for increased internet use to achieve satisfaction, mirroring the neuroadaptations in substance addictions. Alcohol addiction, also known as alcoholism, is a multifaceted and persistent condition marked by compulsive alcohol consumption despite adverse effects. This addiction involves changes in the brain's neurochemistry, particularly affecting areas linked to reward, motivation, and decision-making. Dysregulation of the dopamine system is a key factor, where chronic alcohol use triggers excessive dopamine release, reinforcing continued drinking and leading to tolerance. Food addiction, specifically binge eating disorder, is a complex psychological condition marked by recurrent episodes of consuming large amounts of food rapidly, leading to discomfort, guilt, and distress afterward. Individuals with binge eating disorder experience intense cravings and loss of control over eating, indicating neurobiological mechanisms at play rather than simply a lack of willpower. Drug addiction is a complex neurobiological condition marked by compulsive drug seeking despite harmful consequences, stemming from a dysregulation of the brain's reward system, notably in areas like the nucleus accumbens, prefrontal cortex. Prolonged drug use alters brain structure and function, causing tolerance, needing higher doses for the same effect. Work addiction, also known as workaholism, is a multifaceted issue characterized by an intense drive to work excessively, often at the expense of personal health and relationships. Those affected display compulsive behaviors like working long hours, obsessing over work, and struggling to disconnect from work during leisure time. Psychological factors like perfectionism and low self-esteem often underlie work addiction, with individuals using work as a coping mechanism or for validation. Nicotine addiction, prevalent in smoking and tobacco use, is a complex interplay of physiological and psychological factors driven by the potent addictive nature of nicotine. Found naturally in tobacco leaves, nicotine swiftly enters the bloodstream via smoking or chewing, reaching the brain and activating nicotinic acetylcholine receptors. This activation leads to the release of neurotransmitters like dopamine, eliciting feelings of pleasure and reinforcing continued tobacco use. Gambling addiction, also called ludomania, is a complex psychological disorder marked by uncontrollable urges to gamble despite adverse outcomes. Individuals with this addiction experience heightened dopamine release during gambling, driving them to seek more gambling experiences. Additionally, cognitive distortions like irrational beliefs about luck and control, coupled with environmental factors such as peer influence and societal acceptance of gambling, contribute to its development and persistence. Shopping addiction, also called compulsive buying disorder, is a complex psychological condition characterized by an uncontrollable urge to shop and spend money, causing significant distress and impairment in various life areas. When affected individuals shop, they experience a dopamine surge, reinforcing the behavior and leading to a cycle of compulsive buying. Over time, tolerance develops, requiring more shopping for satisfaction, with withdrawal symptoms when unable to shop, perpetuating the addiction.